Hey everybody, I'm Benjamin, aka the Terrible Australian of Supermarcy.com, and welcome to my video review of Trainwreck, which is the new comedy directed by Judd Apatow. So let's get right into it. Now, I should start off as first, I would consider myself a pretty big fan of Judd Apatow's work, not just as a producer, because as a producer he's produced a lot of great films and TV shows, but even as a director, as a filmmaker, I'm a big fan of his. I loved The 40-Year-Old Virgin, which I thought was a great comedy, and I absolutely loved Knocked Up, and that to me was one of the best films of its year. And I also really liked Funny People and This Is 40, even though I know those two films kind of had a bit of a mixed reaction when it comes to a lot of people, but I thought they were still pretty solid comedies, particularly Funny People, which I think is actually very underrated, and so I really like his films, and I definitely look forward to anything that he brings out, and particularly his new film, Trainwreck, which is interesting because what makes this one different from his other films that he's made is that he didn't write the script to this one. Instead, the film was actually written by the film star Amy Schumer, who, of course, for all those out there who don't know who she is, she's, of course, the lead in the sketch comedy series Inside Amy Schumer, which he also created. And I have to say, though, I think having Amy Schumer and Judd Apatow are definitely a good combination of actor and filmmaker. They just bring the best out of each other in a way. And it's definitely, I think, Trainwreck is definitely one of Apatow's strongest films. It's not to say it doesn't have its problems, which I'll get to a bit. But for me, I thought it was just, this Trainwreck was a really solid, really entertaining, and quite a very funny film. And one of the reasons for that, of course, is Amy Schumer, who I think she has a really her sort of humor is sort of sarcastic and insightful, and at the same time, there's a likability about her that every time she's on screen, like, even though on paper we shouldn't like this character, but like I said, she brings sort of like so much charisma and likability to the role that we can't help but feel for her, and the film does a really good job of sort of showcasing her character's arc during the course of this film. And Amy Schumer, she's very funny. She had, as you would expect, but also even in the sort of the film's more dramatic moments, she really does a good job with that, and she sort of conveys the sort of seriousness of some of the aspects of the story that a character's going through extremely well, which actually really surprised me, because and it showed that she can be more than just a really funny actor. She has some depth to her on a dramatic level. So, and to me, I think she did a really good job with her performance. She's, like I said, she's great, and also she's backed by a great supporting cast of people you wouldn't expect to see working together in a film. I mean, of course, Bill Hader, who kind of in the film is playing her sort of love interest, and he does a wonderful job as well. I'm a big fan of Bill Hader, so he's always great when he's on screen, and he's great once again here. And also the supporting cast with Brie, Larson, and Colin, Quinn, and Vanessa, Ezra Miller, Tilda, Swinton, and surprisingly, WWE wrestler John Cena and basketball player LeBron James, who were both surprisingly really good in this film. I'm sort of been really mixed. I'm to be honest, I kind of not really much of a fan of John Cena as an actor. Most of the films that he has been in the past, I've just found him to be not very good, and a bit bland. But somehow Judd Apatow was able to sort of tap into John Cena and use the personality, sort of his, the personality that he's, kind of well known for, and use that for his advantage for his role. And Cena does a really great job with his performance, and the same with LeBron James as well. I didn't think LeBron James, even though I think this is like his first really major sort of acting role in a film, and he surprisingly does it pretty well, and he has a lot, like John Cena, has a lot of really surprisingly funny moments in the film as well, and he handles his own with his sort of more veteran co-stars. And also you got like Brie Larson, who I think is just wonderful. Once again, she's great in this film. Colin Quinn's really good. Ezra Miller from We Need to Talk About Kevin, and there's so many and also Tilda Swinton, who's kind of almost unrecognizable in her role as well. Like, everyone does a really good job in this film with their performances, and it helps that because Amy Schumer also, like I said, wrote the script as well, so she knows how to sort of create these sort of really well-rounded or memorable characters. Like, even though some of them kind of don't appear on screen for too long, but she makes each character in the film, whether it's a big part or a small part, just very memorable and well-rounded, and all the cast members have those type of characters, which really surprised me, and also, like, Amy Schumer's, and I think it's all due to Amy Schumer's script, which, like I said, is both funny and touching, and it's just a well-written screenplay, especially for a comedy one, and also I really liked sort of the development of the characters, and particularly Amy Schumer's character, and also I really liked the sort of the core relationship between her character and Bill Hader's character. To me, that relationship is the heart of the film, and you buy them, and they, as a couple, and they just have really good chemistry with each other that you just want to see, and you just, every time they're on screen together, you just feel very engaged. And to me, I think the best kind of, at the heart of it, this film is a romantic comedy, and to me, the best romantic comedies are the ones where you find both the lead characters likable, and that you want them to get together. And to me, the film is able to do that extremely well. At the same time, though, the film does have its problems, though. Like, even though the movie is just a tad over 2 hours, it did feel, I do think it would have been better if it was shorter. Particularly in the second hour. I think the first hour is pretty well done. But once it gets to the second hour, it does start to feel, it does tend to meander a lot, and as well as sort of some scenes sort of drag on way longer than they needed to be. And it feels like the film kind of, all the material for the story that Judd Apatow and Amy Schumer were going for, they kind of focused all of that on the first hour. But once it gets to the second hour, it just feels like there wasn't enough there to work with, story-wise. That's not to say I wasn't engaged by the second half as well. It's just, the problem is, I feel like the film should have been at least maybe 10-15 minutes shorter. Like I said, there are scenes in the second half of the film that do drag, and it kind of, the film's, where it goes with its plot in the second hour does feel a bit aimless at times as well. So I know a lot of people sort of criticize Judd Apatow in the past for making his films way too long than they needed to be, but I've never really had a problem with that with any of his films, even especially Funny People, which that's a film that nearly went for 2.5 hours, and I never felt that film was long at all. But funnily enough, though, with Trainwreck, this is the only time I felt that, and that's kind of probably is my big main criticism, is that it's a bit overlong and probably would have been better if it was shorter. And also, I do think the ending, while I did think was quite charming, but it was kind of cheesy in a way, because it kind of reverts to kind of the sort of romantic comedy kind of cliches as well. And like I said, I get what they're going for, and in a way it is kind of charming, but at the same time, that's where the conventions of the romantic comedy genre kind of, come into play in that sort of ending as well. And yeah, overall, I did really like Trainwreck. I mean, it's not a great comedy by any means. I mean, it's no 40-Year-Old Virgin or Knocked Up, but I think it's still a really good one that I really enjoyed, and I definitely would recommend everyone to check it out. And it's definitely to watch it for Amy Schumer. I think she's just wonderful in this, but everyone in this film is great as well. And it's just a really fun, really likable, and just very witty film. So overall, if I had to give Trainwreck a rating, I definitely would give it 3.5. And I can understand some people may be surprised by that rating choice, but like I said, I think if it was a much more shorter and more tightly paced film, it would have been higher. But to me, that sort of second hour does have problems, more pacing and story and plot more in a sort of both in story development and pacing. So yeah, so that's it. That's the end of my video review of Trainwreck. I hope you guys all enjoyed it, and I'll see you all later. See you, everyone. Bye.